Alrighty, so this is kind of a little side project that I want to get done before I actually tear into the rear end on this thing and try to get this 3-point figured out. Gotta make, don't have to, want to make a set of storage, or make a storage stand for the loader so that I can get the thing off the tractor. I don't think we've had that loader off of there in 2.5 years, something like that. Which is kind of unhandy because having a loader on a tractor and trying to use it for a tractor just kind of sucks because it's unhandy. And if you got a quick attach loader, why bother leaving the loader on the tractor when you just want to use the tractor for a tractor? And now that I got that muck, I'd really like to have this thing to plant down there and cultivate down there, because it's not a whole lot of tractor and it's sitting on a fair bed of rubber. So it ought to float down there pretty good, but with loader on there, So, originally what they had when this thing was going to be on an American Series tractor, if I remember right, because I got to remember what all we cut off of the front of this thing. It seems like this frame, is there cut marks under there? Yes. This frame came down farther. Seems like it was down into here somewhere, because we had to cut it off because it was going to hit the front axle. But anyway, that frame hung down there, and then there was a piece of, I think it was like 1/2 by 1 or something. It was flat stock, bent into a horseshoe that hung down below that, and it kicked off at a little bit of an angle. And when this was on an 80, which is more of a utility, or not an 80, a 60 or an 80, which is going to be more of a utility style tractor, the front axle is going to be back in here somewhere because it's tucked back up under the tractor. And the whole tractor's lower to the ground because it's more of a utility, not a row crop. So what you do to get the loader off is you would unhook your trunnion locks, slide the loader forward, and then rock the frame down until that horseshoe hit the ground, and then it would pick the rear of the loader up off the trunnions, and you just back out from underneath the loader. Well, couldn't do that with this because of where the axle is, and because the tractor's taller, you didn't have enough room. So what I think I'm going to do is something along the same lines but different. I'm going to weld a couple sockets, one on either side, and make some drop legs that come out at a little bit of an angle, and obviously make them long enough that the frame doesn't have to come down very far before they contact the ground. That way you're not interfering with the front axle on the tractor. And that way, when you have the loader on the tractor, you just pull a couple pins, take the legs off, and throw them in the barn or something. So they're not interfering with the normal operation of the loader. But that's kind of the plan. So now I got to go down to the barn and see what we got for steel, so that I can figure out exactly what I want to do. So we got a plan. Found this short hunk of pipe to use for my socket. And then I got this piece of 2-inch schedule 160 to use for the legs. That's been around a while. That paint on there is from when we painted the rear wheels on my 1955. That was we shoved the hubs and everything through to suspend them so we could rotate them. So that's been around for a minute. But it's a nice snug fit. So basically just whack this in half, and that's going to go on there something like so. And that'll be the leg. And then I found some 1/4x4 flat stock to make some 4x4 plates for feet on the legs. And hopefully that'll work. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's a hell of a lot heavier than the original system they had on there, so Just get the cutting. Okay, got 2 3-inch hunks cut out of the pipe for the socket, and I'm all centered in the mill. This stuff measures a really nice round dimension of 2 inches 3/80, which comes out to 1.19 for your halfway dimension. So pipe is weird. Sometimes it kind of sucks, but for this it doesn't really matter. But center drill it first, that way the bit doesn't walk since we're working on a crown. Oops. Where did you go? And we'll step it. We'll start there. Surely we got a collet that's gonna work. Right there. If this was a square part, you could take the parts in and out and do every operation without having to change tools. But since this is round, you want to do them all on your first setup of the part. That way you're not needing to try to recenter the damn thing underneath the tool. And damn, that's long. Yeah, that's not bad for half. It's a little over half because I'm drilling this for a 1/2-inch bolt, but and there's one done. And just so I didn't have to set up a backstop to do this every time, I just put that first one right on the edge of the vise and use that for my edge, or for my found edge, so that I can just put everything up against the edge of the vise that I gotta drill, although I only gotta make 4 holes. Fabrication rule number 1, don't work with round shit. After like 30 minutes of fighting and figuring and trying to get him in the same, get him at the same angle and everything, get him in the same position and everything, I got him close. But I also don't think the loader frame is quite square, because like if you lay a level across the bottom of them, this one is like a 1/2 inch higher, but they're at the same level on the bottom side. I don't know. But anyway, for what they're doing, I think they'll be close enough, so I'm going to tack them in there. Probably just... because if they're going to twist, I'm only going to want to tack them in one spot, so probably like one right here on top on both sides, a good tack. That way if I need to, I can get on there and twist them, but... we'll get them tacked on there, get my legs cut, shove them up in there, and get them even from there. Measure twice, cut once. Well, I think for what it is, that's good enough. Eyeballing it the best I can, they are pretty damn close to even to each other, so. And measuring off the floor, they're within 1/8 of an inch of the same height. And that's guaranteeing that the floor is flat, so. Like I say, I think for what it is, we're gonna go ahead and buzz them in. This one's gonna suck. Well, this thing just officially scared the living shit out of me. Had it down in the barn warming up. I walked up here to the garage to do some stuff while it was warming up. Got back down there, sat in the seat, happened to look down at the dash, the charge light was still on. Like, well, that's odd. I walk around, look at the generator, feel it, make sure nothing's hot. Everything felt all right. That's odd. Maybe the voltage regulator went out or something. Hell, I look up at the bell housing and there's smoke. And I heard something grind. Like it didn't keep grinding, it just and then it quit. So that's weird. So I hurry up, get back on the tractor, click the key switch, and it was hung up partway between start and run. So the starter, it wasn't trying to go completely, but it must have been like arcing and trying to get the starter to start, and that was what the grinding was. Clicked it back in to run, and the charge light went off, so it's charging, and I shut it off and started it a couple times to make sure the starter was all right, and the starter seemed fine. So I think we avoided catastrophe, but I'm gonna call tomorrow and order a damn key switch for this thing because we aren't playing that game. But anyway, going to see if my storage stands work. Gonna get the loader off of it today, hopefully. I went to TSC earlier after I got out of bed and got plugs for the couplers on the valve. I'm gonna have a red circuit, a green circuit, and a black circuit. So we got a red zip tie, a green zip tie, and a black zip tie to mark the top hoses for each circuit. So unfortunately, you gotta unhook the hoses to get the plugs on there. So we'll get the loader off and bring the tractor back down and put those on. But we'll mark the hoses first. And I finished the legs up last night. Got the pads put on them. I drilled a hole in the bottom so that shit could get out. I thought about capping the top, but shit's still gonna get in through the bolt hole, and I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna go get me some bolts that are the right length, and we'll head on up to where the bucket is, and we'll get the bucket on it, because you got to park it with the bucket on it for stability. And we'll try to drop her off. Well, here's hoping it works. Wonder if I'm gonna wish I'd have made them straight up and down, but I wanted to kick them forward like that in the hopes that by the time the loader was off the tractor, the legs were standing straight up and down. So it either will or it won't, and we have to go back to the drawing board, one of the two. But first things first, gotta undo these bolts on both sides. And I left the link. Realized that you couldn't see that at all, so we'll do better on this side. You back up until the front buck bar is out of the saddle. Put you there. like shit this thing ain't gonna balance right. But I had to roll forward. These pieces of round stock were still hooked here. I am gonna rock it more. I'm gonna try to get them legs straight up and down, just because. How about that? Seems stable enough. I guess get the hoses unhooked and back away from it. Actually, I lied real quick while I still got everything hooked up. I want to go grab a tape measure and figure out what I need here. And I want to make, hopefully just find a hunk of box tube. I can saw one side off for both sides and make a cylinder lock here so I can set it down on that lock so the loader can't creep down while it's sitting, because it's got to stay rock forward like that, because if it creeps down, the damn thing will fall over backwards. So I'm gonna go do that real quick, and then we will back away from it. All right, had a piece of, I think it was 2 1/4 by 4 or whatever it was, box tube. I just cut a 6 1/2 inch chunk off, lobbed it in half, and got a cylinder lock for both sides. So that worked out pretty slick. Then shut the tractor off and slap the valve up into float to let it relax and take all the pressure off the lines to make it easier to hook up when the time comes to put it back on the tractor. So just got to get everything unhooked and back away from it. It doesn't really matter. And I lied to you yesterday when I said it'd been 2 years since that loader been off. Last time the loader was off of that tractor was when I had it down to Rantoul, and that was 4 years ago. Well, I guess it'd be 3.5 since Rantoul's just coming up, but long enough that I kind of forgot what the tractor looked like without the loader on it. Some bitch. Worked out pretty damn good, I say. think it's going nowhere. Well, I guess. She is ready to go into the shop for her turn to get repaired, so. And get a key switch, because we ain't playing that fucking game. I ain't burning a starter up. That's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.